Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Speech Dude Tells Even More, innovative assistive technology to help your moderate to severe students flourish. I'm Dr. Jennifer Courduff. I'm an associate professor at Azusa Pacific University, and I have with me the original Speech Dude, who is?
My name is Chris Wenger. Yes, the Speech Dude is here, joining you.
And why don't you tell them?
Oh, go ahead, Jen.
No, tell them about yourself.
Oh, real briefly, my background is originally in developing websites, and then I got into teaching special education. I currently work as a speech pathologist for a high school district as well as a private practice, and I merged the two together. I merged technology along with education together, and hopefully we'll have some new tools and strategies here to share with you guys and make this a meaningful webinar for you.
That's the hope. I teach assistive technology courses in the Master of Educational Technology and Learning at APU, and it's an honor to work with Chris through this series because we just really want to give you guys some practical tools to work with your students. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the tools that I want to present first today, in productivity tools, we often talk about Google Apps, and one thing that we haven't yet talked about in the series are Google Forms and how easy it is to create a form and use it to help your students. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. The way I use Google Forms is I use it as meeting organizations, a way to organize a meeting, to check in among the many stakeholders that are a part of like an IEP meeting or a process such as that. And what the cool thing about Google Forms is once you create a form, then you can copy it and use it multiple times, and you'll keep the data from previous forms. So it's a real slick way. Here's how you do it. So I'm going to go to Google. And when you go to your Google, if you click on the little box that has 9 little boxes in it, you'll find forms. If your box doesn't have forms at the top, just scroll down and more apps are there. So once you go into forms, it's a little overwhelming at first because you don't know quite what to use. And I'm a fan of using something with content already in it and then just tweaking it and making my own. So my go-to form is an exit ticket. I go to an exit ticket. And yesterday I created a little exit ticket to show you how easy it is to do this. So in the blank exit ticket that I just opened up, I would click the title and just change it. That's how easy it is. You just overwrite what you have. And then you've got, before you leave class today, answer the following questions. Well, I clicked that and I changed it to, let's think about what we'd need to discuss before we make the best use of our time. Then in the new one, again, I see name and it's short answer. I just leave that one because it's fine. I want their name. I like to have their email. But then the one down here that says, what's one important thing you learned in class today? Well, that's not a question that I really want. So yesterday what I did is I changed that to hot topics. When you click in any of these boxes, you just click in them, and then you're able to tweak and rearrange the boxes or put your own information in. So I want this to say hot topics. I'm going to leave it at paragraph. And then I can make this required or not required from my people. Then things that are so I would use this as a form to prepare for a meeting with stakeholders in an IEP process, for example, for parents or administrators or IT personnel or assistive technology coaches or psychologists or whoever you want to get feedback from before you go into the meeting. So you're prepared ahead of time. So I said things that are going well, and I changed it from paragraph to multiple choice. And then I clicked in homework. I clicked another one and went and wrote in past classwork, homework. And then if I wanted to do more options, Chris, what is another option I could put here? Other, option 3 would be behavior.
Behavior, assessments.
Yeah, assessments, etc. And I can spell today. And then I can choose to make it required or not required. And I can even change the order of my questions. So I click out of it so that it collapses, and then a little box will come up and I can move it above or below or wherever I want it to be so that it makes logical sense. All right? And then this one I left. It's like the template is. What would make today's lesson more effective? So, that's not a question I want to ask. I want to say anything else we should, that's not part of this, we should cover. And I don't want it to be a paragraph. I want it to be a drop down, and I can add different choices. Or maybe I just want it to be a short answer and not required. So when I'm done and I have it the way I want it, I click send, and I can send it out in an email and add people's email addresses right here in the box, or I can send it out in a link. And the link is pretty long, so if I click just shorten URL, there's a tiny little link there that I can send out. You could send out through your district email or alternative email that you want, and this form will get sent directly to the people that you include in the email. So I'm going to cancel it right now. And then let's see, I used this and people responded. I'll go back to the form and the responses would be tallied here where it says responses. Questions, responses. Now one more thing that I forgot to change and I need to change. Up here it says exit ticket. I don't want it to say exit ticket. I just click there and I put summer planning right there. That's how easy it is to create a Google form. Let's say 3 or 4 months from now you want to use the same form but with different people. So you go to the little 3 dots at the top. You click make a copy, and then it's a copy of the form. So you could just call it summer planning or fall planning or whatever is appropriate. And then you click OK, and you have a copy of the form, and you can just take that original form and tweak it and make it your own for the next one. I have found that Google Forms are so easy when you start with a template that's there and you're just adding your own information. Otherwise, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So that's Google Forms. Do you have any questions? And one thing I wanted to add. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Jennifer, I was going to add one thing, too, for the forms. On that responses section, right up there where the questions is on responses, when individuals submit their form, it does keep a record of this over time. And you can see a summary of everybody who's responded, or you could go to see everybody on an individual basis. And so once those responses are in, you can download that into an Excel file and use all of those responses for whichever students or whichever staff or whatever information that you've collected from the respondees, which is really quite nice. I've used that a lot for building an email list, using it for staff meetings. Using it, I know our target audience, we're focusing on mod severe, but for everybody within our field of special ed, this is great for meetings as well, and keeping a running record of respondents and information that can be gathered over time.
For example, there's a midterm, I'm trying to find a midterm feedback form that has responses in it. I'm not able to find it, so I can live demo that for you. But for example, for a council that I'm on, there'll be responses. See, the responses come up here. There's 11 people that responded. It says who's responded, who has not responded, and I can send an email reminder to. And then it also gives you who's approved, who hasn't approved, and there's some revisions there. They can leave comments. And you can simply go back and save that all. But then you have that record for any length of time that you keep that form. Do you use with students directly? What about students who have only emerging literacy skills? That's a good question, Kristen. You could use it with students with emerging literacy skills as long as you keep the form very simple and only ask 1 or 2 questions.
And you can always use an assistant to help the student as well as they're emerging into their literacy, to have someone guide them as they answer the form.
Awesome. Okay, so next slide. Chris, ClassHook.
ClassHook. Okay, so I do want to remind you guys too, I know that we're targeting the technology for moderate severe, but if you think outside the box, if some of you guys are working with a wide variety of individuals, I know that sometimes with our severe population, it can range really from some mild students based on behavior all the way up to some more cognitively severe individuals. So all of these tools can definitely be targeted for our young population, for our more challenged population, for our high school kids, for adults. And so as we transition into this, this website is called ClassHook. And what ClassHook is a website that ties your students in to a content or a certain subject matter with quick videos that are used from pop culture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and give you guys an example of all the varieties of things that are used on this website. But I always like to tie in my lessons or whatever it is that I'm teaching with something that's relevant for the students. It connects to their personal lives and it makes it fun. And this, again, are things that you can use for your severely handicapped population all the way up to your college prep level classes. And it just makes learning a lot more fun. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to open up my Google Chrome browser here. And we're going to go to classhook.com. And as you get on the website, you can create a free account, and that's going to give you access to all the videos that they have on here. And while you're on here, I'm going to sign in. You have a little browser section right in the middle here, and you can type in any subject, a TV show, content level, grade level of what it is that you're teaching. So if I'm trying to teach my students about the Cold War, or I'm trying to teach them about photosynthesis, I can type that in, and it'll come up with a pop culture video that's usually about 2 to 3 minutes long. So it uses TV shows such as Family Guy, The Simpsons, The Office, Big Bang Theory, movies like Remember the Titans, Broody. It's got a lot of Disney movies. So for one of our examples here, I can type in wind pollination. See if I spelled that right. And so this is a little short clip from the movie A Bug's Life. And it takes just a small clip from that movie. This is going to tie into my free lesson for the students. It gives them that visual as well as the auditory component to it. And as it plays, it demonstrates a part of the movie where the ants are using the wind and the dandelions as part of wind pollination. And there's a couple other things that it ties into. It talks about symbiosis and how nature works off of each other, plants and living organisms. So that'll give you an example of that. On the right side, some of the videos have discussion questions that you can use for your students. For those students who are non-readers or who have print disabilities, again, we're tying this in with video, so it's really cool for all levels of students. And it's a really, really highly engaging way to tie learning into this. If you go on to the main, so if we click up here on the Browse section, right up here, we can search by a variety of things. So I'm going to click on all clips. And I can search by the grade level. So let me point to this. Oh, it's not letting me use my page marker, but I can point to the grade level. I can select the length of the clip. I can select what series it wants to be from what TV show. And as you can see, there's just hundreds of different choices to choose from. And then on the bottom right over here, I have my target curriculum, and ranging from accounting all the way to biology, U.S. history, you name it. So we're really making the learning fun for the students. In our previous series, we talked about using PlayPosit or Edpuzzle. That's PlayPosit or Edpuzzle. I'll put that in the comment section on our webinar. And those are websites that you can make the videos interactive. So this is a great, so rather than having to search on YouTube for curriculum relevant video clips, this has got it all for you. And then what you would do from here is you would just use that URL and put it into Edpuzzle or PlayPosit, and now you have an interactive video from YouTube that ties directly into the curriculum. So it's all really highly engaging and fun information for the students. One last thing too, if you do have some content from YouTube that you find would be appropriate, meaningful for this website, you can submit that clip on the bottom of the website and get that up on the website too. It's free for everybody. And so right now the developer is in the process of continuing to add as much content that ties into the curriculum as possible. So once you submit the clip, they review it, and more than likely it will get on there if it's appropriate content for them. So it's really cool. It's an ongoing database of highly engaging video clips. And so that's, oh, there you go, perfect, you got it on there. And so that's ClassHook, and nothing beats free. I'll tell you that.
Nothing.
And the other thing I really do love about it is that it makes lesson planning a little easier for us, rather than having to sit there and on a Google search type in, fun related photosynthesis clips, and there's a million that come up. This website eliminates that. You can just type in things that are relevant to the curriculum, and it has things there that are fun for the students. So really cool stuff.
Right. And you hit on a really important point, Chris, which is it's very easy to get really, really overwhelmed with all of the resources that are available, because there's so much available that people get overwhelmed really quickly. And one of the things I tell my students consistently, and I know Chris agrees, is try one thing for a month. And when you're comfortable with that one thing in a month or in 2 weeks, whatever is your comfort level, then move on to something else. But if you try to do everything that we suggest in any webinar all at once, you'll feel overwhelmed and you'll give up. So give yourself a goal of one thing a month and get good at that one thing, and take yourself off the hook for not being able to do everything all at the same time. Does that make sense, people?
Absolutely.
Questions? Yeah. It's just overwhelming otherwise. You'll scream for the hills.
On that website, I put another link for a site called brainpop.com, which has been around for quite some time. But every day if you don't have an account, that's a yearly membership, but they do offer a free video daily. And that's always fun too, just to tie in something that's highly engaging for the students and easy to understand, and really good for our population of moderate severe students. So that's another website to check out as well.
And speaking of being overwhelmed, for productivity, I have learned that Evernote is one of my very best friends. You can get a subscription to Evernote for free, and you can share it between 2 devices. So, for example, I have Evernote on my phone and I have Evernote on my work computer, and whatever I put into Evernote in one place ends up being in the other place. One thing I love about Evernote is you can be the most disorganized person on the planet, and you will learn how to be organized using this app. So let me show you what I mean. For your kiddos that are super disorganized, for example. All right, so here's my notebook on Evernote. So I've got notebooks I've got a notebook for my personal stuff. I've got a notebook with 31 things in it that's just in Evernote because I was learning it and I just had not deleted that because I don't care that much. I've got a notebook for my daughter, my daughter's baby because I am a grandma and so I have to have that. And then I've got notebooks for some research I'm doing, a notebook for AbleNet, a notebook for Ph.D. And so I can go through my notebooks this way, but what's cool about it is if I want to just search for a note and I don't feel like looking in every single folder, I can just put AbleNet Beach Dude and see what comes up, and there it is. There's a note. Oh, no notes. I don't have any notes in there. Huh. Let's try ISTE. So the upcoming International Society for Technology and Education conference is coming up at the end of June. So I have a whole bunch of stuff in here related to that conference, and it's all in my ISTE folder. So I can look by using my notes, or I can go into a certain notebook and just look at the notes I've thrown in there randomly. Like this one, I've just thrown stuff in randomly. When I can look by notebook, I can also just look by notes. So this is all my notes chaotically not organized in Evernote. When I put them into notebooks, I can go back into the notebook and find them. But again, the search notes feature is something I use very often because I don't have to worry about it. To do a new note, I just do a new note called test. Why is this so easy? And then I can put it where I want to put it. What notebook? Do I want it in Evernote? Do I want it in, I can pick the notebook where I want it. I can send it to someone. I can send it to Chris and invite him to join me in this notebook. I can put it in AbleNet U. I move it over there, and there it is. So when I go back to my notebooks and I can't find it, I just search for test, and there it comes up. So you can be, again, really disorganized, throw everything into Evernote, or your student can throw everything into Evernote, or your instructional aide can help your student throw everything into Evernote, and you can teach them hands-on how to learn how to sort and self-organize by using multiple notebooks. It's a scaffolded approach, but as we're working with students that transition from high school to college, they need those skills where they can organize on their own, and I have found that Evernote is a really solid program for that. If you get Evernote Pro, it's about $70 a year for the program. The benefit is you can share multiple notebooks across unlimited devices. So I could share it on my iPad, my phone, my work computer, my home computer, and I could share it with multiple people. So that's the benefit there. But again, free is best. So I really got along for years without the paid version, just the free version, because it's all I really needed.
Absolutely.
Yep. Questions about Evernote? Comments, Chris?
I think you covered it quite well.
All right. So you're back up. Oh, hold on. How do you feel about Google Keep versus Evernote, Mary? I have not used Google Keep, but I would love, I'm writing it down. I'm going to go play with it. If you want to email me off later, jcourduff@apu.edu. I'd love to play with it and then talk to you about it, okay? Google, I'm writing it down, Google Keep. I love new tools. Okay.
All right, the next one that we have, let me move this slide. Most of you guys probably have heard of Quizlet. I'm going to talk about the newer feature that's part of Quizlet, because as you know, that Quizlet is previously known as a source of studying and an online tool to create digital flashcards and use a variety of tools with flashcard-based learning. But they've added something within the past year that is diagram-based. And so for our students who are in the moderate severe population, as well as all populations, using diagrams and images is key. And so the feature that they've added on here has made it very easy to use any illustration, any map, any chart, or any photo that you have, and you can really kind of digitize those types of things and make it really easy to learn. And the nice thing about it is that it has pre-made diagrams that are available, and there's a subscription base to it. I think it's $25 or $30 a year that will allow you to add images and really be creative with it. But the pre-made diagrams for free with a free account are all available, and it really, again, for me, lesson planning becomes a lot easier for you if you have these readily available at your hand. The nice thing, too, is there's tons of tools for studying for our students and ways of creating that content and putting it in that learning into that long-term memory. And so I'm going to share my screen and show you a few examples of the diagram-based stuff through Quizlet and show you how to create that. So I'm going to open up a separate window here, and we're going to type in Quizlet. And so once we're on the website, let me increase that here. You're going to see, rather than just go into your basic search or you're creating your flashcards, you have a section right up here that says Browse Diagrams. So that's your new feature of Quizlet. When you click on that, you have those pre-made lessons or diagrams that have been created by other users. It makes, again, lesson planning really easy and learning really more engaging. And so this is a highly engaging tool to use. And again, it can go across all abilities, all age levels. And so for our population, if you browse some of the diagrams, you can scroll down to the bottom, and I think this is always helpful for our population of the mod to severe. Towards the very bottom, you got your English language learning and just easy things for students to learn as they go through. So let's say you're teaching some students who are on the spectrum who have difficulties with identifying facial recognitions or emotions. You can, let me select this one. You can select on the emotions, and then they can study from here on the first one, and you can hover over, and it'll give you the term of what that facial expression is. Miserable, and then we got this one, confused, as you go through. And then you can create different ways of learning those things. I'm going to go back and show you another example. If you're teaching them parts of the face, down here on the very bottom right, I can click on that, and this will teach the students different parts of the face. So up here we've got the hair, the temple, forehead, nose, nostril, lips, chin, neck, ear, cheek, freckles, so on and so forth. So you can create these hotspots on any image. Once on here, the students can click on, if you can create a free account for them, it'll store their progress as they move forward with learning. So when I click on Learn, it says progress is 0. Once they go through a different variety of games and learning tools and do this, the more they do it, the higher the progress goes, and we want to get to that 100% progress that shows they've mastered the different parts of the diagram. So on here, the neck, it says, is what it wants me to find, if you can see right here. And so I'm going to select this one, and it shows I've got 1% progress made. I got it correct. Any key to continue. It wants me to show the iris. Click on that, and I move forward with progress. We've got eyelashes, and we'll just get all of these ones done real quickly. The ear, correct. I'm going to get one wrong here on the next one. This one wants the nostril, so I'm going to click up here on the forehead. I got it wrong, so it says study this one. My progress doesn't really move. It has an algorithm that when I get one wrong, it stores it in a bank, and the ones I get wrong more often will pop up more. The ones that I've really mastered go away because it has that algorithm that, just like the flashcard based on the Quizlet, it knows not to come up because I've already mastered those ones. Once we're done with all of these ones, it'll give me progress on the left side, and so it shows me that I've seen 7 of the 9. There's a total of 9 new ones. I have mastered none of them yet. So as I move forward, I can start mastering all of these ones. For those students who have a difficult time with literacy skills, it'll read it for you. So it's got a screen reader, the text-to-speech on the screen. And that's a demonstration of that. So here's how you create that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, which is this button right here. And I'm going to click on, well, I can go up to Quizlet. And I'm going to click on Browse Diagrams. That's on the top left, right up here. And once I click on Browse Diagrams, I can select this very first one that says Create Your Own Diagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Create Your Own Diagram. And then we're going to add, let me minimize this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Google. And I'm just going to get an image. So we're going to do some maybe community-based stuff. A lot of our students go bowling or they go to restaurants or a variety of activities. So I'm going to type in bowling alley. And we're just going to pull an image off of Google for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that onto my desktop. And we're going to create a new, I'm just going to drag this over here. And we're going to create a new study tool. So now I've got my bowling alley. And we're going to create some hotspots. So I have my hotspot right here where I add a point. And let's say we want to add we're going to add this right here. We're going to title that the gutter. And then we can add a definition for the gutter. We can title the gutter a place where you do not want the ball to go. No pen will be knocked down. So I've got a lot of things that I can do there. I can remember if you have some English language learners, you can add Spanish. You can add any language on here. There's a variety of them. So it added my term, and it added my definition and my hotspot. Let's add a couple more hotspots, and I'll show you guys how you can turn this into a game. So I'm going to add, this section is called the ball return, and then our definition is where our bowling ball is returned to us. And then we're going to add the lane where we throw the ball, and I'm just going to add one more. And we're going to add maybe up here, the pens. 10 pens is all down for a strike. So now that I've added 4 hotspots, I'm going to click Create. Oh, I have to title this one. We're going to just put Demo, AbleNet, Webinar, and then Bowling Alley. As I do this, think about taking a picture with your students while you're out in the community, or taking a picture while they're out at PE and they're in adaptive PE. Maybe they're in the gym. You can create hotspots for wherever you go. And what you're doing is you're taking real-life world scenarios and you're digitizing it and making it a learning experience. You can do this every day, and as you saw how easy it was for me to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to a class folder. We'll title this one Speech Therapy for use with clients. And then I'm going to close that out, and we'll go back to where I just created it. So I've got Speech Therapy. Here's my demo. And so I just created something to learn for the students so they can hover over the hotspot. And then now up here, I have a variety of things, a variety of tools for the students to learn this with. So you guys already saw me use the Learn feature. Here's the matching feature. This is a game right here. So when I click on that, you're going to see how I can create a game out of this. So I'm going to hit Match, and now I've got a game. It's going to time me, so I can try and beat my old time. And now all I have to do is I have to drag, or I click on the image and the hotspot. So I clicked on pens, and I'm going to click on where the pens are at. I learned that one. I'm going to click on gutter, and I'm going to click where the gutter's at. I'm going to get this next one wrong. I'm going to click on lane, and I'm going to click over here where the ball return's at, and it turned red. So it doesn't go away. What it's doing is it's building that memory for me to know what's right and what's wrong. But think about the uses that you can do with this. It's amazing. You can do advanced neurology on this, and it makes life much easier to learn. But for our sake, again, for moderate to severe population, this is an awesome tool that's free. So I completed this in 48 seconds. It saves me on the leaderboard here, so I can try and beat my next time. And you guys kind of get the idea. So we're going to go back, and then there's another game that you can play called Gravity, which is right here. And so you can click on Gravity, and I'm going to make it easy for myself and answer with the definition. So I'm going to do answer with the term. And when you hit let's go and start game, as you'll start seeing, the answers will start coming down. Where we throw the ball, lane, enter. And then the next one's going to come down. If you play the medium and advanced versions, the meteorites start falling a lot quicker, and you have to be able to type as well. But this will kind of give you an idea as another game. So where our bowling ball is returned to us. Ball return, and then you kind of get an idea. So it starts me on level 1 off to the left. It gives me a score. That over time can be tracked for our students so we can give them a target score or a target level that we want them to reach. But again, it's super awesome. I mean, these are taking functional lessons and digitizing them and making them fun. The other sections
Chris,
on here, I'm not going to go through for sake of time. Yeah.
We have a quick question. Sean is asking, I thought Chris said you have to pay the subscription price to create a new diagram with hotspots, but I was able to follow along with this bowling example using the free version. So what do you get for the $25 to $30 subscription that you can't do with the free version? Really good question.
Yeah, so my understanding is on the paid version, when you create flashcards, you're able to insert images. Now that I think about it, I think on the free version, when you're creating diagrams, you're able to use the images. So, yeah, I think that sticking with the free version is the way to go for the sake of using diagrams. The paid version, I'm positive that you need to pay for the version if you want to insert images and create flashcards that way. But, yeah, for our sake, for our population, I would say stick to the free version because you're able to do all of this.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Shiva,
the other
you.
things are the flashcard section, the write section, the spell section, and the test component are kind of self-explanatory. As you guys create a free account and you explore what I just did here, check those other sections out, and that's another really easy way to get students to learn. And then I'll bring it back to you.
All right. Thank you. And so I Googled the top 5 accessibility apps for people with disabilities. Now, the problem here is, I'll show you my Google search. Most of the things that are noted as the top in 2018 have to do with accessibility testing for websites. And that seems to be the trend right now, is that if you're building a website or if you need to run your district website through an accessibility test, there are tons of resources out here on the web, on Google to test that. Now, when I found the top accessibility apps, this is from March of 2017, so I'm still not really sure if this is out of date or not. Chris, I want you to weigh in on this with me. So you can adjust the size of your keys using big keys. Do you use big keys, Chris?
I have not.
Okay. It's a $3 app, but it seems to be really worthwhile if you need to have bigger keys. Swift Key Symbols is another one that was recommended in 2017. The link to this particular page is in our presentation, but I'm going to go through it really quickly so we can get back to some demo things that Chris is going to show us. Access Now is an app so that you can receive ratings on accessibility within locations such as restaurants, which is cool. Be My Eyes is a very it's a really cool idea. It pairs a person with good vision with a person with blindness or low vision, and so that they can work together. And Roger Voice is the other one to help deaf people communicate by phone. So those are the top apps from 2017, which is a year ago. But I'm not finding anything really more current than that talks about apps. I find things that talk about accessibility features on websites, but not necessarily apps. So my thinking is that a lot of the accessibility features within our mobile devices have gone to such a level of excellence that we really don't need the extension apps, the add-on apps anymore. If you can get anything you need pretty much in the Google extension website or through your iOS device. That's what I have to say about that. So Chris,
awesome.
Quizzes.
Okay, so we're going to move on to quizzes. I'm going to try and keep it to 5 minutes here on quizzes, so that way we can get to the next two slides. So quizzes, I want to say similar to Kahoot. Many of you guys probably heard of Kahoot. I'm going to type that into our form here. So Kahoot is a game-based platform, a website that projects out to the students, and they type in a code, and on their cell phones or their tablets or their computers, they can interact with questions that arise up on your projector. Kahoot requires you to look up at the screen, and everybody has to answer their question at once before it moves on to the next question. Quizzes is a whole other ballgame of learning that's really similar, but it can have image-based answers. And so I'm going to share my screen so I can show you what exactly this looks like. The nice thing about it is you don't have to have an account. The students just have to have a login, a pen, and anybody can play. I've done this in front of an audience of 350 people, and it worked just fine. And so you can get an unlimited number of people participating at the same time. And this is what it looks like. So if you guys listening are out there now that have a computer or a phone, feel free to type in the code that I'll put up. And so you go to quizzes.com, and now I'm on the administrator page. From here, you can type in any topic that you'd like. So if they're learning about math and they're learning about parabolas, you can type that in. If they're in English and they're learning about Shakespeare, you can type that in. History, if they're learning about World War II. There's millions of pre-made games that are already there for you. The nice thing about it is that you can pick and choose certain questions from quizzes and duplicate them into your own quiz. So here's a quiz I created for demonstration purposes for our mild or moderate to severe population. I'm going to click on My Quizzes. And so I have right here in the middle, AbleNet demonstration for mod severe. So what I'm going to do here is I can edit this and add images or change my answers or add more answers. You can have up to 5 answers per question. You can share your quiz with other colleagues or with students. You have 2 features here. You have the play live and you have the homework. The homework one, when you go into it, you can set a time frame for the students on when they must complete the quiz by. So you can text them or you can give them the code, and that'll give them, a couple days to complete it or whenever you set it. And so the play live version is what we're going to do right now, so you can get an idea of what that looks like. On the play live version, you've got several options. I like to shuffle all the questions and the answer options, so you don't have to worry about when you're creating a quiz that every single time you type in the very first answer is going to be correct. It'll shuffle them around, so you don't have to really spend time doing that. Show leaderboard, I always disengage that because I don't like the students to be as competitive. I think one of the things I have a tough time with Kahoot is that the kids become so competitive. There's always that one student who seems to do better than everybody else, and then it really brings down the kids' esteem, and they just get frustrated that way. This doesn't do that. As well as the question timer, I like to take that out. So everybody's learning at their own pace, and it doesn't put pressures on the students. I like to show memes and play music on their devices. I'm going to take that off. So for those of you out there who have an additional device, I'm going to click proceed, and it's going to say join.quizzes.com. and that's going to be your game code. So as you guys type in that, you'll see what it looks like on your end because you're going to be playing the quiz from the other side of the nation with me right now. And I'm going to open up a different browser window and enter this game code. So this is what it's going to look like on the student screen. So I've got 711547. I'm going to hit proceed, and then speech dude's going to join. And so it shows me who came in. So we've got Kristen, and we've got we've got speech dude. So there's 3 of us that are participating. If the students try to put in an inappropriate name, you can click on their name, and it'll remove the player. It has an algorithm, again, that already knows what is appropriate and what isn't. And so we're going to start this game with 4 of us. And on your end of it, I'm going to turn down our volume. So as you answer these questions, it pops up with some functional vocabulary that I work with students. It gives you a picture and gives you the options. So it says you can take a bath or a shower when you're in the restroom. And it comes up to all of our questions. So I'll do 2 more questions here. Which one does not belong with breakfast foods? That always is the most difficult when we answer those negative type questions with the word not. So the hot dog does not belong with all of the other breakfast foods. I'm going to click that. And then on the next one, I'm going to get it wrong. And I'm going to show you what it looks like on the teacher's view as students are doing this. Again, the students are using their own devices and looking at this. They're not looking up at the projector like they do on Kahoot. They're not competing with each other. They're doing their own learning base. The system tracks how well they do. So what is this kitchen item called? I'm going to put microwave and get it wrong. And so the teacher's view shows me who's progressing and who isn't progressing. It shows me 92% of the class that's doing this is getting it correct. And at the end, so here's what we're going to do. So I don't have to show the leaderboard. I can just do the questions, and it shows me the average time. Let's get this. It shows me the average time per question. That's huge. That lets me know if my teaching in that particular content needs to be focused on a little bit more. I always feel like that is a huge factor. It shows me also how many got it correct and how many got it incorrect. That way I know if I need to reteach that particular vocabulary or content or item. As you come to a finish, I'm going to hit end game for sake of time. And it'll come up with our leader. I try not to show this to the students just because I don't like, again, you're always going to get that one student who always seems to do better than everybody else. But the cool thing about it is when they're finished with their scores, you have the option, you can review it with all of them, but right here you can download these in Excel and get your feedback from the students. And so when you're in an IEP meeting with an advocate and they say, how are you tracking your goals and your progress, you just hand them this and it says the exact percentage of what the students got. You're not having to do any of this. The computer does it for you. And I can tell you that the advocate won't ask you that question ever again. Super easy way to really hit those IEP goals, really easy way to create content, and there's already, again, millions of pre-made lessons that are out there. So we're going to close out of this and go back to quizzes. And again, everything's just drag and drop. So when you create a new quiz, you just enter the quiz name. I'm just going to do this real quick. And then on here, you can search from existing questions that are out there and add them to your quiz. Or on the new quiz, you can add an image. As you guys saw on your end, it can be image-based answers or it can be text-based answers. And you can make a single correct answer or you can make multiple answers. So you can select the ones that go along with things that are hot. And then you can have your 5 answer options. And then two or three of them can be correct. The other 2 can be wrong. Really easy to create. And so that is quizzes. Any questions?
And once again, once again, I just want to remind everybody, don't get overwhelmed. Choose one tool that we talked about today, just one, and work on it for a month, and then come back. The webinar is recorded, so you can come back through AbleNetU and watch it again or listen to it again as many times as you want. It's just better to think, that thing I can do tomorrow, and do the one thing. Take it real slow. Otherwise, you will not do any of it because it can be very overwhelming. We got 10 minutes left, Chris.
One at a time.
That's it.
What's that?
I said that's it. Do you want to go over page marker real quick?
What are we on? Productivity page marker?
Yeah.
That's what I was using because I see that we're coming up on the end of the time here quite shortly.
Right.
But what I'm going to do is, I'll do it because that's what I've been using. So page marker is something that you can get through Google Chrome browser. I highly recommend Google Chrome browser over Firefox, over Safari, and over Internet Explorer because it's more secure. It tends to be a lot quicker. They update their browser on security changes about every other week at the longest. You can create an account, a Google account, and it'll log into all your stuff. So as Jennifer mentioned with the Google Forms, it'll automatically log in with that in your Gmail account, in your Google Docs. So I highly recommend Google Chrome. And this is a feature for Google Chrome. So once you're in Google Chrome, which I'm in right now, I have an icon up on the very top left, which is right here, that says Apps. When I'm in Apps, I can type in page marker and add that extension. And when you add that extension, it comes right over to this side, and it puts it up. I can't highlight it right now with my page marker because it'll only do it on the browser window, but if you can see up on the top right up there, it's that red marker. I can change the color of the tool, and I can change the thickness. It allows me to write and annotate on any website, whether it's video-based or just content-based. As you guys saw, that's what was helping me highlight different areas of the websites. And so that's the main feature of page marker. Super easy to use. Makes it easy.
And I want to add to that Evernote plays really nicely with Google Chrome as well. So if I've got my Evernote notebook open and I'm in Chrome, if I'm in a new resource or a new website, Evernote will ask me if I want to add that to an Evernote notebook. So it really is, Evernote plays well with Google Chrome and it plays well with Firefox. So it really is user-friendly that way too. They're very streamlined. In order of preference, I would say Google Chrome, then Firefox, and then never Safari or Internet Explorer because I just don't like those. But the other two I think are more easy for you to use and user-friendly.
Absolutely. And then we're going to transition into our last tool here, which is from the Goodwill Foundation, and they have a website with a variety of interactive games that are real-life scenario situations that will help our mod to severe population out. I find this to be the most awesome because they're right there. They're highly engaging. Students can create a free account, and it'll track their progress, which lessons they complete, which dates they've completed it, how much farther they have to go. And there's, as you can see right here on this slide, there's 2,000 lessons, over 800 videos, 50 or more interactive games. Very engaging. You don't have to have literacy skills. It really hits a big component. So I'm going to share my screen, and this will be the last tool that will show you. So when you're in Google, you can type in, or you can just go up into the browser up here in the URL and type it in. So I'm just going to type in GFC Learning, and it's the very first one that pops up. I'm just going to click this website. When this website comes up, one thing to take note of is that a lot of the things on Google Chrome on this website are going to be Flash-based, so like using Flash Player. In order to allow that to happen, up here by the URL, straight up where it says Secure, right here, click on Secure, go down to Site Settings, and you're going to see right in the middle, it's going to say, I can't use page marker here, but right in the middle it says Flash. Click on that drop-down icon and hit Allow. Anytime you get stuck on a website and it doesn't let you use your Flash Player, that's because Google Chrome is so secure that it wants to ensure that you're not going to be getting any kind of malware or anything like that. And so you won't run into that on Internet Explorer or Safari. I mean, everything comes through. Then again, you're more at risk and more prone to getting passwords and everything else stolen. So, so that's how you're going to get around that. once you're on the website, this is what it looks like on the front page. So down here where it says Everyday Life, you can click on that. And we're going to have the 50 or more interactive games that are here for our students. So to go around town, reading maps, getting on the bus, work skills such as applying for jobs, learning about tax preparation, health and safety, learning how to use a barbecue grill, food and cooking on how to read a recipe or how to navigate a grocery store, money. So I'm going to click on money, and you can see that we have a variety of functional real-life scenario situations that we can do. I'm going to click on ATM since it's the first one. And remember, if the students sign up for a free account, it'll track what they've done. So I'm going to turn my volume up just a little bit so you can hear as this thing loads. And it looks like I've got about 2 minutes left, so we'll just go through this quickly. It'll come up with our lesson, and it's interactive.
First, let me check to make sure that it's safe. All right, I'm the only one out here. Now, let me just slide my card into this machine.
So now it says slide the card in the machine, so the students have to listen to what the directions are. So it's kind of building on that auditory comprehension and following directions. And so I'm going to take my card, I'm going to slide it in.
Oh, that's right. I need to follow the instructions on the screen and answer all these questions by using buttons.
So I'm learning how to use an ATM right now, and it's highly interactive.
0927, that's it.
0927. So I have to remember that code, type in my PIN number, hit enter.
Okay, I need $40. But first, let me check my account to make sure I
So $40, but she needs to check her account. So I have to know that I can't just click on withdraw. That won't work. I have to, go to the inquiry and check how much money I have left, so on and so forth. So that'll kind of give you an idea of what this website offers. That's one of hundreds of lessons that are there that are readily available at our hands. Eliminates having the lesson plan. It's really hitting home with those everyday functional life skills for our students. That's just the everyday life. There's a technology component that teaches students how to browse the internet, how to use internet safety, how to use their Gmail account. There's a reading component, a typing component, a math component. And again, if they sign into their account, it tracks what they've been learning. All for free. You cannot beat that. So definitely check out GCFLearnFree.org, and you'll be able to use that right when we're off this webinar. It's that simple to get to, and I absolutely love it. So we're coming up to the end here, and it looks like there's no questions here. So Jennifer, I'll have you take over for this last section. We'll get into our last slide.
All right. Yeah, questions. So we want to stay on this slide for just a minute so you can write down our emails and our Twitter handles. You can follow me on at Gamine64, just in case you're wondering. Gamine means little brat in French, which I think is funny.
I like it.
Now you know. And you can follow Chris on Twitter at SpeechDude. And we're both really accessible. So if you send us an email, you'll hear back from one of us within 24 hours for sure. So keep those handy. We do have a pretty robust Twitter presence, and we shoot out new resources and ideas all the time, or a lot. So feel free to join us and follow us on Twitter. Yeah. Any final questions before we sign off? All right. Well, hey, thanks, everybody, for spending an hour of your time with us today. We really appreciate it. Okay, we